owned a security firm with branches in Houston and Dallas. In the years since they'd left the Army, they had worked together a dozen times, most recently on an abduction case that had led them into Mexico. According to Trace, a guy named Ray Carroll had jumped bail and was on the run. Rumor was he had friends in L.A., and odds were good that was where he had gone to ground. Good old Ray had been arrested for possession and trafficking in child pornography, the lowest of the low as far as Johnnie was concerned. He would have taken the guy down for free if he'd had to, which, fortunately, he didn't. The case was interesting because Ray was the grandson of the late Texas oil billionaire C.P. Carroll. C.P.'s widow was filthy rich, and she doted on her grandson, which, with that kind of money at his disposal, made Ray a flight risk. His bail had been set at $500,000, which his grandmother had posted. But Ray had taken off for parts unknown, leaving Grandma on the hook for a boatload of money if her boy wasn't caught and brought back to appear in court. For 10% of the bail fee, a cool $50,000 less a referral fee to Trace, Johnnie had agreed to find him. Surprisingly, once he'd started digging, narrowing his search hadn't been all that hard. Since leopards didn't change their spots, and jackals like Ray were fairly predictable, it didn't take long to find out that Carroll hung out in the local strip clubs. The kitty cat was his favorite. According to the bartender who ID'd the photo Johnnie had shown him, a guy calling himself Ray Connors had been in the club both Wednesday and Thursday nights. Johnnie had come in on Friday and again tonight, but so far hadn't seen any sign of him. Not until now. The black padded vinyl front door swung open, letting a thin slice of street noise into the club. Recalling the photo, Johnnie recognized Ray Carroll as he ambled over to the bar. He was an average-looking 40-year-old with thinning brown hair and the kind of greasy smile you'd expect to see on a creep like him. He sat down on one of the black vinyl bar stools, and the bartender, a tall, spare, good-looking Hispanic guy named Dante, flashed Johnnie a heads-up glance before taking Ray's drink order, a double Grey Goose martini on the rocks. A cocktail waitress walked past. The girls who performed also served drinks, though for that they wore a few more clothes. This one, a brunette, was tall and svelte, dressed in a little blue satin two-piece number, the bottom cut high on the sides, a built-in push-up bra shoving her heavy cleavage nearly over the top. Not indecent, but definitely less than the old bunny outfits they wore at the Playboy Club. Johnnie sipped his beer, his attention fixed on Ray, who stared with fascination toward the stage. The dancer, Angel Fontaine, being not much bigger than a kid, was Ray's favorite, according to Dante. He watched as she dipped and swayed to the music, the red sequins on her nipples flashing in the spotlight, the light changing color to the rhythm of the music. Johnnie tried to look away, but found himself as mesmerized as the drunks at the tables. Like the rest of her body, her breasts were perfectly formed, not too large, not too small, and tilted provocatively upward. Her face wasn't perfect, he had finally gotten around to noticing. Her mouth was a little too wide, making her pouty lips a little too pronounced. Her cheeks were as flawless as rose petals, but her chin was a little too pointy. She was the sexiest woman Johnnie had ever seen. She turned, thrust her pale, luscious ass into the air, and wiggled it suggestively, and his groin tightened. If he didn't make his move soon, he wouldn't be able to walk, let alone make a collar. Ray came off his stool just then and started toward the stage. Johnnie noticed the folded dollar bills in one hand as he approached the little blonde. Another man beat Ray to her, leaning over and stuffing a $10 bill into Angel's sequined jeans.